So as we've been covering this entire situation going on with Charlie Kirk, Tyler Robinson, and the actual execution of this assassination, there's been a lot of news that has come out, not only from the FBI, not only from people close to Tyler Robinson, but from people who were close to Charlie Kirk. One of those people being namely Candace Owens. And she had a lot to say when it comes to the assassination of Charlie Kirk. We're going to get into it here, hear what Candace has to say and how she might be pointing the finger at someone who was potentially involved in the murder of Charlie Kirk. What does this say? Shout out to Colin Rugg over on X, excuse me. It says, Justin, Candace Owens claims threats were made to Charlie Kirk during an intense intervention with Bill Ackman in the Hamptons weeks ago. Bill Ackman is, as I mentioned before, a billionaire hedge fund manager. He got a lot of money. Okay. Multi-billionaire. We're talking nearly double-digit figure millionaire or billionaire, excuse me. Owens claims that Kirk was having a change of heart on Israel before his death and says he was contacted by, I'm not saying that, by a certain person who is very high up in the Israel politics. We'll say that. All right. I know that Charlie Kirk was offered a ton of money in this moment, a ton of money, Candace says. Ackman has denied the claims, calling them totally false. Okay, well, calling them totally false, I think, is disingenuous in the first place. We know there was a conversation. We're going to get into why we know that in a second. Let's see what Candace has to say.
In the Hamptons, and he had more than one event, but he had essentially what was staged, an intervention was staged by Bill Ackman. Because Charlie's rational thoughts about Israel were a no-no. This is not the route that you should be going on.
That's
and
scary,
Charlie
man.
was surrounded by his friends, his quote unquote friends. Bill Ackman was very upset, and threats were made. That is what I am told, and I will tell you that I am very happy for Bill Ackman to dispute this narrative. In fact, he was asked to dispute this narrative. Max Blumenthal went out to him today, and Bill Ackman came back and said, I have receipts I can show you. And he did not provide the receipts.
And at this point, Bill has still not provided receipts. It's just a lot of, well, this is what happened. So we're going to talk about Bill's response here shortly. Stay tuned for that.
This is not how it went down. I know it went down this way. I'm waiting for one of them to go on record and to say that it didn't go down this way. It was at this time that Bibi Netanyahu was called and Charlie was invited to Israel. This was an under duress situation, I would say, because I've been in these situations before. Yeah. When I started asking very sensible questions about Israel, as someone who had dedicated her political life to supporting Israel, many times alongside Charlie Kirk, I was met with the very same pressure. And just like Charlie was being invited to Israel, I was invited somewhere else. And when this arrived to me, it felt like a threat. You know, I got to tell you that. It felt like a threat, like not like, hey, come here and we can educate you because you're my friend. More like, this is your last chance. That's how it felt to me. I can't speak to how it felt to Charlie. And I know that Charlie was offered a ton of money in this moment, a ton of money. Bibi would fund it, you know, spend tons of money. And Turning Point, I guess, if it needed to go to a higher level, would have gone to an even higher level than it already was at. And I know for a fact that Charlie denied that funding, that Charlie denied, and what Bibi didn't include there, he declined to go to Israel.
Yeah, there's some people that you just don't get to decline. When you make it to a certain level, it's like, hey, we see what you're doing. We see the influence you have. We see the money that you have. Here's what we're going to do. This is why one of the reasons I'm like, hey, just let me chill over here.
Or I would describe this as like, you know, re-education camp. You know, we've seen it. You made an but we can help you. We just need you to come out to Auschwitz and take a picture. Yeah. We just need you to come to the Holocaust Museum and take a photo. We just need you to go to Israel and we can make this better. Charlie said no to Bibi.
Oh, no.
Okay. Bill Ackman, if you would like to dispute that, I would love to hear what you say happened, because our sources and what we have, it's solid. Okay. There were conversations that took place, messages that were sent at that time.
And in case you didn't know, the Prime Minister of Israel is who she's talking about, inviting Charlie Kirk to Israel.
And they are solid. So I decided another person that was there, and I am not surprised this person was there. If you've been listening to my show, Seth Dillon, I was going to go out to Seth Dillon, and I decided to message him last night about this Hamptons meeting. And Seth Dillon, who is normally very quick with a response, has not yet been able to respond. I'll show you this text message chain. And I want to be clear, I am not someone who normally publicizes text messages. But my friend was shot in the neck. And I'm just not really in the state right now to be polite when it comes to the answers that I am demanding. Okay. This is me out to Seth Dillon last night. I sent him Bill Ackman's tweet because, he tweeted, "I feel incredibly privileged."
Not a fan of this, by the way. Not a fan of putting text messages out there. This is low.
To have spent a day and shared a meal with Charlie Kirk this summer. He was a giant of a man. I said, "Any comment on this one, Seth?" He didn't answer last night. This morning I said, "Need a comment ASAP, please." He didn't answer. Then I followed that up and I said, "Trying again here. You were present when Ackman lost his mind on Charlie and when Bibi invited him to Israel and Charlie refused." Text messages immediately following this meeting are circulating. I find Ackman's statement, as though the meeting was somehow cordial, to be incredibly disturbing. Are you at all disturbed by that tweet? Do you feel, as I do, that this tweet significantly betrays the defined purpose and mood of his, and I presume your, final meeting with Charlie Kirk? ? He was unable to speak to me, but he did place some frantic calls to Turning Point USA. Yeah. You see, I went out to Seth, but I also went out to two other people who were at this meeting, and nobody is willing to go on record. They're all messaging each other, trying to figure out a coordinated response to say that, no, this was all quite cordial, but no one wants to go on record and describe it as cordial because they know someone's leaking, because someone's got a guilty conscience about what happened at the Hamptons. So I will again put it out there, Seth, Bill Ackman, and to the other individuals who I have not yet named, but who are going to be named later this week, who were at the Hamptons when Charlie was put under pressure, when Bibi Netanyahu called him and invited him to Israel, again, in a move that when it happened to me, and it wasn't Bibi Netanyahu, felt to me like a laced threat. I am inviting you guys, I will give you my platform, actually, to come clear matters up, to tell us what really happened, because
it won't happen.
I think Charlie was definitely on the brink of changing some of his perspectives. And I can tell you factually, Charlie was praying the rosary. Charlie was going to mass. One of my last conversations with Charlie was me joking with him saying, just make the last step, okay? You are, I said specifically, you're too smart to be a Protestant. Just take the last step, Charlie. He says, ha ha. He was speaking about Mary. And typically when those steps start taking place, you stop referring to yourself, as I did, as a Judeo-Christian. Again, it is
So Candace Owens seemingly saying that there were other parties involved. She's calling them out and say, you guys need to be held accountable. What actually happened in this meeting? Well, what happened in that meeting, Charlie Kirk actually somewhat insinuated. He did an interview with Megyn Kelly shortly after this meeting took place. Let's listen to what he has to say. Check this out.
Both privately and publicly, are pushing people like you and me away. Not like we're going to be pro-Hamas, not like we're going to, but we're like, honestly, the way you are treating me is so repulsive. I have text messages, Megyn, calling me an anti-Semite. I am learning biblical
ridiculous.
Hebrew and writing a book on the Shabbat. I honor the Shabbat, literally the Jewish Sabbath. I visit Israel and fight for it. And there's another article out in the Times of Israel today. I could read it on air. I was just reading before I got on. Charlie, what are you doing? Like, why are you, what am I doing? I'm sorry. Like, let's just take a step back here. Like, I'm an American citizen. Yes, I want Israel to win. Yes, I'm a Christian. But like some of the mess, and you've seen how I've been treated, Megan, by some, not all, by some.
No, it's very irritating.
It's
been
almost
so
as if
unfair. They were coming after you after a turning point for, among other things, that you had Dave Smith there. Dave Smith isn't allowed to criticize Israel. You had both sides. The Israeli side was overrepresented.
Though. No, you're not allowed to. It's even worse than that. Again, I just want to repeat for the 5th time. I love Israel. I want Israel to win. But my moral character is now being put into question, Megan. Not my decisions. Not like, hey, are you doing this? Is it smart or is it dumb? But no, I am a bad person if I do this. And I could go, I mean, you saw it, Megan. It was trending on Twitter, thousands of tweets and text messages. And if I were to be charitable and generous, I will say the people that are attacking me are in a hyper paranoid state because they're at war, and war tends to make things black and white, and you're a hammer looking for a nail. So I'm trying to be charitable, Megan. Literally, I'm trying to cut as much slack as I can, right? Like, okay, what would it be like if all of a sudden I'm starting to see a pattern of behavior similar to what my grandparents saw in 1930s Germany online? How would I behave? So that's like my charitable kind of overcompensation spirit. At the same time, I'm like, but it's not defensible to be dumb, right?
Yeah.
So,
and it's offensive. It's offensive to those of us who have been out there defending them in many instances against critics on our own side. And now you have a couple of comments like, well, what about this? Well, has it gone on too long? Like, is it time to wrap it up? And the thing about Epstein is just so bizarre. I don't know who he was an agent for. It might have been Israel or an asset, or it might have been nobody. Yeah. But we're allowed to speculate about that. It's there's some rule you can't.
Charlie was the reason that it's getting all this publicity. There's so many people involved because Charlie was into a lot of stuff that we don't know about. Clearly, he wasn't just an activist. He wasn't I don't know, civil rights leader. He was heavily involved in the political side. How many YouTubers get a call from the Prime Minister of Israel? Y'all can probably type the number in the chat. How many activists get a phone call from the Prime Minister of Israel? There's a lot going on here that we probably don't know. We may never know. And we're going to get into some more information about this situation shortly, because we've just got some new information from the FBI as far as possible leads on why Charlie Kirk could have been a target. We'll check that out here shortly.
Go there when it comes to Israel.
Well, you and I believe that we're Americans and Americans first, period. End of story. We are citizens of this nation, okay?
That's
and
right.
Israel, we have funded, we have supported, and they're up against a sea of Islamic totalitarianism, and we should be cheering for them, right? Because they're up against barbarians and monsters, and we want them to win. However, here is Megyn Kelly and Charlie Kirk combined, probably 30 million social media followers, like pretty, right? And you and I have been holding this down, and you probably get the negative, oh, you're just shilling for Israel, whatever. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do what's right regardless of the feedback, right? But then all of a sudden, like, I host a person that I moderate the debate of, mind you, right? And I give equal time to Josh Hammer, equal time to a pro-Israel advocate, and my moral character is being put into question. And so I think it's a hyper paranoid, like, we're just going to try to, we're going to just stamp out everything type of practice. But it goes to the point where if, for example, if I have less ability sometimes online to criticize the Israeli government without backlash than actual Israelis do.
Jeez. Oh, y'all heard that last part? He said, let me rewind that again. This is important going forward in this conversation.
We're just going to try to, we're going to just stamp out everything type of practice. But it goes to the point where if, for example, if I have less ability sometimes online to criticize the Israeli government without backlash than actual Israelis do.
Without backlash from who? Because again, he's not talking about backlash from the LGBTQ community about his views on same-sex marriage or someone who's transgender, right? He's not talking about backlash for his views on slavery. He's not talking about backlash. He's talking specifically about backlash for his views on Israel. Makes you wonder what was going on behind the scenes. What conversations did he have for him to feel this way and feel this way enough to comment it on this platform? Is Candace right? Is there something there? We're going to get into it in the next segment, in the next video. Let me know what y'all think in the comments and in the chat.